Welcome back to Love, Money, Rock and Roll. We left off with this giant pink elephant that wants to step on some stuff. Nikolai, God, what the hell is that? I genuinely laughed. I want it, Himitsu answered, offended. We went to the amusement park today. There was a shooting booth. And you got enough points to get this? I would have never guessed Himitsu had such good aim. Yeah, it took several tries though. Oh yeah, you probably wanted to take me there, but I'm not Mr. Nice Guy. How many is several exactly? Several is several. So 3 or 4. Why'd you drag it here? It's protecting me while you're away. Well, that's one tough protector. I approached the bag and slightly jerked the elephant by the trunk. Who from, though? From the people you went to meet today? Oh, that's what you mean. I let out a deep sigh and sat down next to her. It's complicated. I didn't even have to lie to Mitsu this time. I could simply relay everything that happened today to her, but would that make her feel better? In short, it's not about me. Not exactly about me. Things actually mostly concern Kagome's father. I hadn't learned anything about the notes and calls. So you have nothing to worry about. And neither do you, baby elephant. Are you telling the truth right now? I realize you have reasons not to trust me, and that's my fault, but I'm not hiding anything from you now, cross my heart. Who was it you met with today? It looked like Himitsu had prepared her questions beforehand and repeated them in her mind so many times that nothing could distract her now. Well, that was... I definitely couldn't tell her about Kagome. Not because Himitsu would get jealous. A relative of my father's colleague, the one I told you about yesterday. We tried to find out what happened to him. And what happened? Everything's fine. He's alive. Alive? She said ambiguously. I mean, he's not in danger. So you're trying very hard to help that person. I'm not. Kagome is. Their situation is just tied closely to mine, or at least that's what I thought yesterday. And now? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's stop talking about this night already. You hungry? Himitsu suddenly asked, sounding like the previous conversation had never happened. I guess. I nodded and smiled embarrassedly. Embarrassed. Yes. The dinner was light in all senses, its weight, its volume, and the number of calories it contained. But it'd be rude to complain. I quickly gobbled down something that looked like a vegetable stew and sat down behind the table, warming my hands with a surprisingly tasty cup of tea, so it wasn't borscht. Any plans for tomorrow? We're going to do a big cleanup at home. Oh, alright then. I was even glad I wouldn't have to lie to her again. I didn't know what I was going to do tomorrow, but considering recent events, matters to tackle could find me themselves. And you? Haven't made any plans yet. Maybe I'll clean up too. Have you ever done any housework? Of course I have. That was the truth, actually. Sometimes I really had to do laundry or prepare food. In extreme cases. Ask someone to help? Who would I ask? The person you were with today, for example. You're clearly trying hard for their sake. Drop it already. Or are you jealous? Of course I am, she pouted. You could have asked me, you know. Thankfully, this situation doesn't involve you. Not thankfully at all. Mitsu looked at the clock. Alright, I'll go. See you on school on Monday. Try not to oversleep. You'll drop by in the morning anyway. I definitely will, she said seriously. Good night then. Good night. To tell the truth, it was a bit early to go to sleep, but I was pretty tired. And Kagome's upset face still lingered in my mind's eye, gnawing at me. For some reason, I didn't really believe tomorrow would pass peacefully, even though I'd find time to clean up. Misery loves company, as they say. Even in the best case scenario, it would end for me, but not for her. Huh. I'm so thankful I really don't care about her in this playthrough. Man, that sounds really, really bad. Jusan. 13 in Japanese. It seemed to have rained all night, but I slept like a log. I dreamt about someone stealing my money. Small sums, a couple thousand yen a time. But they were doing it regularly, boldly, and with no repercussion while I couldn't stop them. It happens often in dreams, the disgusting feeling of your own helplessness. Or maybe someone is stealing money from you and you just don't know. They say dreams are a way for the brain to rethink the events of the preceding day, shake them up and make conclusions in the form of allegories. Did that mean I wanted to but couldn't help Kagome? I guess so, but you didn't need to be a somnologist to know that. The house was quiet as usual, no more than usual. Himitsu wouldn't come today either. Cleaning is important. Maybe you should clean your room. I rummaged through the refrigerator, laid out a selection of ingredients for a bachelor's breakfast. Several eggs, a piece of moldy cheese, and a bottle of soy sauce. Ew. You should have spinach for your eggs. Make an egg sandwich. Top-notch meal. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I don't know how you overcook scrambled eggs either. You really have to suck at your job to do that. My thoughts were constantly jumping back to Kagome and her problems, the disappearance of her father, and the conversation with Kobayashi-jun. Why had I lied to her? Was it really necessary? I didn't even know anymore. It was a moment's whim. I was certainly doing the right thing. That's how critical decisions are sometimes taken. And if it only was just about me. But I hid that piece of information from Kagome. Important information to her and her father, who gave me the right to do something like that. The doorbell rang. Who could it be so early on a Sunday morning? Standing at the doorstep was Ellie. Hi, I've been passing by. I cautiously examined my street behind her, looking for a limo and her bodyguards. Don't worry, I'm alone. Smart girl. Must not have been the first time for her. I'm not worrying, just didn't expect you. What brings you here? Here. She handed me a pinkish envelope covered in heart and flower shapes. What's this? Well, open it and you'll see. Judging by how calm Ellie was, it clearly wasn't an invitation to wherever. Opened the envelope to find several bills inside. For yesterday. You didn't have to bother, I told you it was a date. You wish. She pursed her lips and frowned. You also said you'd take the money. If you insist, mademoiselle. Indeed I do. She smiled, and it seemed was about to leave, feeling that her debt had been paid. By the way, how did you know where I live? I'm in Ojo-sama, remember? She gave me a coquettish glance. Would you like to come in? For a cup of tea after all, it's Sunday. I guess I didn't want to stay alone with myself and the pressing feeling of guilt. Even if right that moment I were to run into Kagome to apologize, what would it change? Would this be a date? If you wanted to be. If only for a little while. And what about your... I almost said Retinu. Retinu? What about your boys? I'm alone today. Really? Do you think I'm some kind of princess in a high castle that I only come out for concerts? No, but yesterday you said, we have a big house. It's not hard to slip away when I need to. And what happens if you're caught? Better not find out. Got it. You got a cozy place? Any brothers or sisters? I'm alone. Me too. She responded pensively. I mean, I'm completely alone. My parents died a while ago. I'm very sorry. Thanks, I'm used to it. At least that's what I sometimes think. And I often can't be alone, even if I really wanted to. I was looking at this girl and couldn't figure out what she was thinking. I was so lonely and I invited Ellie in. Did she agree to spend some time alone with herself? Did that make me a piece of furniture? I mean, I can leave. No, you misunderstood. My chest tightened and I remembered Catherine. Or rather, realized it had been a while since I thought about her. In that sense, at least. I didn't really think any... I was interrupted by yet another ring at the doorbell. 2 visits in the same day. I was getting popular. Wait, I'll be right back. I think I'll go. Don't want to be a bother. Don't, I'm telling you, I'll be right back. Maybe it's the post. Could I come up with anything dumber than that? I simply had no idea who it could be. Open the door, Kagome. I'm not here to start an argument, she proclaimed from the get-go. I've got a new idea and you're gonna help me. Ah, so this is the polar opposite event of what happened when Kagome was living with you. Nice. I'd be glad to, but I'm kind of busy right now. You owe me for yesterday. I don't know, sit on the toilet for instance, and this person slams the door open with a kick and starts trying to sell you on some wild nonsense. Yeah, I do, but let's do it later. Next time I'll give you a call. No, we do it now. Kagome raised her voice. You don't understand, I'm not alone. So what? So nothing, dang it. The sound of footsteps came from the hallway. I froze in place, preparing for the worst. This was not good. I really should go. Oh, you're exactly who I need. Me? Do we know each other? No, but we will. My name is Iwamura Kagome. I want your grandfather. Your corporation let my father go. Would this have not happened had I not had a fight with Kagome yesterday? I don't understand what you're talking about. Your father. What does that have to do with Grandpa? Everything. She didn't even try to hide her anger, but still attempted to talk as calmly as she could given the situation. Ellie shot me a questioning look. You see, the thing is, I don't want to drag you into this. She dragged herself into this. How exactly? By being part of that family? You know what? Ellie shot Kagome an angry glare, but I was sure she simply didn't know how to react. I do imagine that, and you'd better learn who your granddad really is and what his corporation does. I don't understand what she's on about. Ah, so you already know each other. Listen, you may not care about me, but at least stop embarrassing yourself. The entire neighborhood is about to gather around this place. Do you want that? Then let's talk inside. No thank you, I'll go. You're not going anywhere, she said in a voice that really did make Ellie stop. I had to do something. It was obvious that Ellie had no connection to her grandfather's dealings, but she was still a Kobayashi. Unfortunately, the sins of the father are a real thing, especially in Eastern societies. Either way, Kagome didn't give me a chance. I guarantee you that we better talk on good terms, unless you want to find out the entire school to find out what you do at nighttime. How do you know everything? Kagome only smirked in response. Fine, Ellie uttered quietly. You don't have to do this. We'll just talk, right? Okay, different interaction. Soon the three of us were sitting in the kitchen. But what next? There was no sense in trying to think that I had no choice and wasn't to blame. Even if Kagome's actions were sometimes almost impossible to predict, Ellie still had nothing to do with it. I was going to end up being the scapegoat. I was the one Kobayashi-Jun had warned. The girls stood at different sides of the table, refusing to look at each other. Ellie folded her arms over her chest, carefully studying my garden. Meanwhile, Kagome languidly crossed her legs and stared at me in anticipation, implying I was the master of the house. How about tea? Your tea isn't poison, but I'd rather not drink it more than I have to. I like some, thank you. And now we're back to a familiar scene. So what did you want to talk to me about, Kagome? Your tantrum earlier wasn't informative. That was not a tantrum. My father used to work for your grandfather's company. Not simply work, he dedicated his entire life to it. You people didn't just fire him, but kidnapped him in the middle of the day. You probably have nothing to do with it and don't even know what your grandfather's capable of. But that doesn't matter. Sins of the father, sins of the child. Had you prepared this speech in advance? So what do you propose? Would you send me to the guillotine? Ellie smirked. I just want you to talk with your grandfather. What am I supposed to tell him? If some petulant girl accused him of who knows what? I'd sooner call the police. Girls. Go on, do it. Here's the tea. Kagome didn't even look at me while Ellie accepted the cup with gratitude. Thank you. Though she immediately moved it away and continued the verbal skirmish. Are you sure it wasn't your imagination? You know, we have a good hospital. I can ask the psychiatrist to see you. Not at all. I just don't attack people for no reason. If I had a choice, yesterday I went to the offices of Kobayashi Corporation but didn't manage to achieve anything. We went, you mean you, and I immediately felt ashamed. So I'd kicked the ball into the neighbor's yard and climbed after it without permission. Yeah, we did. Don't get it wrong, it's true she doesn't express herself sensibly, but her father really is in trouble. Doesn't always sensibly? Each one of them seemed to only hear what they wanted to hear. So up into her father. He was taken by some people. It was even harder to choose words that wouldn't upset Ellie. We think Kagome's father was taken before because of his work for Kobayashi Corporation. And you too? Ellie said sadly. Because it's the truth. How many times do we need to say it for you to understand? I can't believe that Grandpa... She seemed to think about it for a moment. Why should I believe without any evidence? What evidence do you need? My father's body with his fingers cut? Fingers cut is a Japanese ritual to atone for offenses done one another. A way to be punished or to show sincere apology or remorse by another. By amputating a part of one's own little finger, in modern times it is primarily performed within Japanese criminal organizations. Yubitsume. Yubitsume. Yes. Otoshimai. I probably butcher that, I'm still learning Japanese. If you want to say that we're thugs or something, that's just laughable. Kobayashi Corporation known all over the world. To think that just because of a single employee? You don't know who my father is and what he did for you. I don't. He was a scientist, maybe even a genius, then why would we kidnap him? That's what I want you to tell me. Here we go again. Well, our father did disappear. And what does that have to do with me? If she thinks we are at fault here, let her file a police report. Against Kobayashi Corporation, known all over the world. In any case, I know nothing about it. Another point for Kagome. Though at the start of the conversation, I felt guilty for my indecisiveness. Now I clearly understood that it was a bad idea to interfere. But Kagome thought otherwise. Why are you just standing there? What about me? I don't remember if I have to make a choice here or not. It's hard to remember sometimes. Clearly I'm going to support Ellie. Yesterday we were there together. And by the way, he was the one who talked to your grandfather. Is that true? Things kinda happen that way. But I told you our conversation in detail. And after you talked to Grandpa, you still intend to support her nonsense? I'm not really... Come on. Tell her what you talked about Kobayashi Jin yesterday. Ellie's grandfather had admitted that his people took Kagome's father. But what did any of this have to do with Ellie? Nothing, obviously. Not to mention, he'd given me clear orders to keep an eye on Kagome's behavior and definitely wouldn't be happy that we dragged his granddaughter into this. On the other hand, I felt an acute sense of guilt, duty, and an annoying need to do the right thing. Even if it was the only right thing for Kagome's perspective, I had to help find her father. The girls were looking at me impatiently. I had to make a decision. Sorry. But if I were to tell Ellie everything now, she'd look like talk to her grandfather, and he clearly wasn't used to repeating himself. Let's calm down first. We don't know the entire truth yet, so it's too early to draw conclusions. What do you want from Ellie? How could she help us? So you're not going to tell her anything? I can only tell what I know, but I can't impose my assumptions on others and make hasty conclusions. I see. Kagome said in the same cool manner and stood up. What else can I accept from the likes of you? Leaving already, Yomura-san? Ellie asked victoriously. Nothing left for me to do here? Not now? Not ever. I wanted to stop her, but how would that look? To stop Kagome from leaving? To let her continue Ellie's interrogation? After I'd decided not to drag the ladder into this? When the door closed behind Kagome, loudly with an echoing slam, I even let out a sigh of relief. Sorry about her. Quite the temper. To be honest, I didn't really understand what this was all about. Well, you're prepared to do a lot for her. There's nothing between us, if that's what you mean. Heavens no. Why not? I think she likes you. Kagome likes me? Why would you think that? Feminine intuition. Nonsense. She's probably just poking fun at me. We have a completely different relationship. A common interest, so to say. I wouldn't even say we have a common interest, because I'm being a jerk to her. Interesting. What is it about? She doesn't look like a person who gets along well with others. And by the way, what did you talk to my grandpa about? I kept a heroic silence. Or was that another joke? Wouldn't say Kagome looks like a comedian. I don't hate her if that's what you mean, but put yourself in my place. I understand. And still, she clearly believes what she says. So what was that about my grandpa? I already decided Ellie didn't have to know, so I delayed at the bitter end. Nothing much. I don't think you'd be able to help. Certainly not if I don't even know what I'm meant to help with. It's a delicate question. In short, you just don't want to tell me. Believe me, I've had enough time to learn every conversational tactic out there. Fine. I'm convinced. I have reason to believe that your grandfather is somehow connected to the disappearance of her father. I'm sure he had his reasons. Maybe her father, I don't know, had done something unlawful. She was perceptive. That's why I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't think you should tell anyone about what happened. Scared? Ellie smirked. Let's say I exercise advisable caution. Fine, if you say so. She stood up from her chair and walked around the kitchen. You got a nice house. It's cute. Did you want to say small? No, I wanted to say cute. Living in a mansion with 2 or 3 occupied rooms out of 100 is a strange luxury. I've only got the one. Want to see the house then, if you're curious? In my room, she immediately noticed the bass guitar. Pity you don't play anymore. Oh, come on, I wouldn't be any good anyway. Can I try it? My chest suddenly felt tight. The very thought that Ellie was gonna play my bass guitar made me feel uncomfortable. A regular guitar, her vocals, whatever, I didn't really care. But she could probably play the bass better than I ever could have. It's not tuned. I'll tune it. Okay. She wakes us up in the other out for Kagome. In this one, she's already here. So, it just kind of happens afterwards. Nice. Greedy pants. She pouted. I just got other stuff to do. Like what? Like cleaning. I managed to think of something. I'm supposed to be cleaning today. I'll change the bass strings too. You can play it another time. Does that mean you're confident there'll be another time? I'm not. That's not what I meant. Relax. She laughed. If you take everything seriously, you'll grow old too quick. Isn't 18 a bit too early to think about getting old? Not soon enough. Grandpa also says that I don't have to think about the future at all. Well, do you? Of course I do. Same as anyone, sometimes. A wistful shadow passed over her face. I should go. I hope you talk to your girlfriend and this won't happen again. She's not my girlfriend. I barely even known her for a week. Alright, Don Juan. Happy cleaning. I think that was a Mexican joke. And apparently, I guess we'll still get the weird guitar cleaning or guitar playing scene. What was that even about? What does something as simple as a couch mean to a man? And why did I live in a traditional Japanese home when neither me or my parents were Japanese? Even if the building itself was gifted to us for temporary use or permanent use, the furnishings clearly should have been chosen by mom or dad, so it doesn't really have anything Soviet in it. Besides, well, a couch. Yet another ringing of the doorbell distracted me from my memories. What if it was the couch salesman with a fresh catalog? Oh, Michael. And this is gonna be to the movies. Oh, that movie moment. I do not at all know what you're talking about. You're the one who asked me to go 2 weeks ago. I guess. So should we go? Well, let's go. And the tickets? We can just buy them there, right? Do you not even remember what the movie's about? All the tickets are long sold out. You said you'd buy them in advance. Well, I didn't, as you can tell. Or maybe I did, but forgot. I wasn't suffering from memory loss yet. A pity. There's been a lot happening lately. Wanna come in? I still need to do some homework. Well, you found time for a movie. Want some? I took out the bottle of whiskey. We've got school tomorrow. Yeah, as if you'd agree on any other day. And you shouldn't either. In a different situation, you'd be right. And if there was someone else in my place, is everything that bad? We walked to the garden and sat down on the porch. The weather's cleared up after the night's rain, and the outside was dominated by real summer weather. I love to be in the countryside and nature. Meets our entire village house with a real grandma and grandpa. We've been to that village. It's pretty nice looking, I guess. Depends on what you compare it to. Starving children in Africa probably have it worse. It's because of Catherine? I smiled. It was funny to hear Michael call a girl he didn't even know by her first name. We were still in Japan, even if not Japanese ourselves. No, different stuff. Say, what do you know about Kobayashi Ellie? Don't know her personally. Well, you must have heard something. People say a lot about her. Why don't you ask Yosuke? Why do you think? He'd probably just tell me the size of her chest, but not anything substantial. She's respected at school, even by the teachers, which doesn't come as a surprise. She's a Kobayashi after all. But there are rumors that things aren't all that simple with her, not as... I'm not gonna try to find the right word. Obvious. Gotcha, so what's so unobvious about her? Well, for instance, you can afford to have a glass or two, and they say she has a few bad habits too. Probably playing rock music. What about our class representative, Kagome? What about her? Let's say she's not a simple girl either. It is weird that you don't know anything about your classmates. That's just how I am. I have. Wouldn't even say that get along is the most fitting term here. I guess I don't know anything else though. Thanks, anyway. It's strange that you're so interested in other girls when he faltered for a moment, which didn't happen with him often. When you got a chance to restore your relationship with Catherine. There's plenty of fish in the sea, you know. Not that I'm involved with either of them romantically. Must be weird to hear something like that from me, huh? No, it's weirder that you've never talked about anything like that before. You mean I wasn't interested in girls? Was barely interested in anything, really. Well, I was interested in movies. By the way, there's supposed to be a good movie on TV soon. Not the one we were supposed to see, but still. Wanna watch it? Why not? When Michael left, the city had already been engulfed by the soft embrace of the unusually warm autumn night. I had no desire to sleep, and warned by the alcohol, went on to look for an adventure. The adventure awaited me behind the doors of the familiar bar. It's normal for Japanese to have a drink or two after work. Hello, bartender. Oi, Goya. He peeked over the heads of the people at the bar counter. Why'd I chosen this bar and come here so often? I couldn't say it was close to my house, and the bar sort of resembled a Soviet Ryom Chernobyl. And definitely not because of the bartender. What can I get you? Double whiskey. Life happened. Worse than usual. Oh, this is where we'll meet Arena, I think. True enough. Hello, KGB lady. Too bad I'm not gonna help you this time. There's no point in it. Oh, sorry, She laughed. It's rare to meet a non-Japanese person here. I'm afraid I don't care about the motherland, Arena. I guess you're right. We're probably the only Europeans who have visited this bar in its entire history. You come here often? Sometimes. So you like this place? It's more like I'm used to it. You must be a student. Sort of. Thought I? How'd you guess? It just seems that you're kind of handsome, intelligent young man must study there. I am definitely not. Moscow's a wonderful city. Leningrad? Nah, I don't even remember. Can you imagine? It happens. Here I am, sitting all alone. Thank you, Nikolai, for accompanying this poor Madame Moise. You just wanted to get me to figure out what you're talking about. Onward and upward. My name is Irina Mostoyova, Major Irina Mostoyova, KGB, USSR. I mean, why would a Russian girl have an accent? No matter how long you learn a language that is different from your mother tongue, no matter how long you live in a foreign country, it'll always be clear you weren't born and raised there. Yep. That's how it seemed to me, at least. That's what I'd like to ask you. What does this have to do with me? Do you really not recognize me? Why should I? Got in a car accident and died. I remember sitting in the back, so I survived. Is that not true? They died in a car accident, but their death wasn't a coincidence. So, what do you know? I know nothing. You're interrogating the wrong person. I'm just a student, and what's more, an orphan. I'm really sorry, but I'm not even... That's what I'd like to find out. No, they were from us. We wanted to warn you, but you didn't feel compelled to heed our warnings. What should I do then? We were a completely normal family. So in your view, a family of Soviet engineers who fled the USSR and started working for the biggest transnational company in Japan is normal. Yeah, pretty much. You can believe whatever you want, lady. I don't trust you. Because I don't think helping the KGB and going for Ellie, who is the granddaughter of the head of Kobayashi Corporation, would be a good idea. I don't remember any obligation to the motherland in the first place. Why should I trust you anyway? I don't know. But until recently, I've been living a peaceful life before you dragged me into this. We didn't drag you into anything. On the contrary, we're trying to protect you. What wonderful protection. What does it amount to exactly? In order to receive something, you need to give something in return first. But I don't have anything. You know everything, just tell me what the Japanese want and we can bring you home. Or do you think you've managed to fool me? I'm afraid, Arena, you're not that smart. We don't know anything. Yet. Behave normally. Nobody should know we've talked. We've arrived. Get out. So, can I go tattle to Kobayashi? Sounds like fun. My legs carried me to the house on their own accord. I closed the door. And the garden door. And another one. And all the windows. I had so many windows. I wish I had a gun. I laid in bed staring into the darkness with dry eyes. It was obvious that the Czechists wouldn't come back, at least not today. The only thing I'd hoped for was that those KGB agents knew what they were doing. Kagome, what did you drag me into? Ju Yon. 14. What does a paperback ink smell like? It smells like freshly painted walls of a hospital, an administrative building of something utilitarian. It smells like the hectic rhythm of a big city. You can fish Joyce, Steinbeck, Dostoevsky, Kobab into the tiny pages of a paperback, which turn yellow after just a couple months. Their thoughts, expressed in sweeping prose, would be stunted and suffocated by the uneven, ugly lines. I had much preferred solid, massive books with hard covers. But Japanese people like everything fast and simple, and have eagerly exported their convenience to the other countries of the free world. What would Leo Tolstoy say if he saw War and Peace retold in manga form? Of course, this arrogant attitude didn't fit my current situation at all. It's easy to engage in intellectual snobbery when the most danger you face in life is an argument over Jack Kerouac. But I was being threatened by the very real and, much more importantly, very alive people. Kobayashi and now the KGB. But the image of a sword-wielding woman grew hazy and soon faded away together with the dream when I was snapped away by a doorbell. Think. Checkers don't use doorbells. It's Himitsu. Who's there? Nikolai? You scared me. Opened the door and found Himitsu behind it, seemingly no less scared than I. Why'd you ring? Well, you locked yourself. Locked myself? At first I couldn't understand what she was talking about. Oh, what time is it? It's time to go to school. Is everything alright? Yes. Just not very used to being woken up by the doorbell. Do you think I'm hiding someone here? No, just... I'm actually a bootlegger. I make moonshine in the basement. You don't have a basement. Oh, right. Mitsu was making breakfast while I sat behind the table feeling my armpits drip in sweat. So Arena had told me behave normally. In any other context, nothing would be easier. But now, having met Ellie and Kagome, and being granted an audience by Kobayashi Jun himself, was there anything normal left in my life? Then there was Catherine. Nikolai. Himitsu called out to me, indignant. What? I'm asking, do you want toast with jam or butter? We have jam. You definitely don't, but I brought some. Well, jam it is then. Thanks. By the way, you remember the school festival's coming up, right? No, the festival's the last thing on my mind. I felt like a lone wolf, avoiding other people. What are you guys preparing? Well, we were thinking of doing a cafe. Good idea. The maid in uniform would look great on you. Why do you assume I'll be a waitress? Won't you? Maybe if you want. I was actually gonna cook. Oh, okay then. If it's what you want. Nikolai. What? What's the right answer? Don't you even dare come to our class. And it'll stop me. Then I won't step out the kitchen. Alright? Guess I go check out the other girls. Plus there's some good ones. Not gonna lie. Ah, yes. School. Hello, Kyosuke. How was your weekend? To be honest, I'd wish I'd spent it differently. Imagine you go to an onsen with your family only to find out it's been taken up by terrorists. I think an onsen's a hotel. Close enough. Hotel with a hot spring. I want to talk to her, of course, but I wasn't sure I'd be able to hide yesterday's conversation with Irina. With how impulsive she was, knowing about it wouldn't do her any good. But besides the impulsiveness, Kagome also had an inquisitive acumen, and the very thought of her drilling glare made me uncomfortable. Come on, Nick, the bell's about to ring. Ask my secretary. Her name's Irina. She's Russian. I couldn't postpone the conversation with Kagome any longer, especially after what had happened yesterday. I'd taken Ellie's side and, in doing so, made Kagome anything but happy. And Kobayashi-jun had clearly explained to me that I had to watch her, and that was in my best interest. Lesson was over, and I let Kagome walk calmly out of the classroom, waving away Kyosuke and his annoying chatter. I could have sworn that in a different situation and under different circumstances, she would have looked very adult and mature, but now all I could see was a sad, lonely girl watching other people live their carefree lives. Well, I knew I'd find you. Why are you here? I thought we made everything clear yesterday. I think we haven't even started to. You just dug your heels in and ran away as soon as something didn't go your way. And of course you would, of course. Prefer that I sit there and simply listen to that spoiled brat reprimand me? She wasn't reprimanded you. If anything, you were the one who started. Case in point. Look, Kagome, if you want to get something from someone, firing off accusations at them isn't the best tactic. I was just stating a fact. It's a fact that people like Kobayashi-jun define what others think is true. Who needs your philosophical truth that has nothing to do with real life? It won't bring your father back, that's for sure. So what? You think I should drop to my knees and beg that princess? I don't think dragging Ellie into this was a good idea in the first place. I've already told you, what can she know about our grandfather's affairs? And how much do you know about your father's work? You're as useful as a snorkel on a fish. I'm trying to help. Anyone else? And why was I, definitely not the most patient guy around, still here? You know, you could have at least said thanks. I didn't mean... I said abashed, having expected anything but this reaction. I understand that I'm trying to help, but we need to act carefully. At the very least, we shouldn't further complicate an already complicated situation. If I didn't know you, I'd say you're protecting Kobayashi, like there's something between you two. Don't worry, even if I wanted it, she and I are from different worlds. Do you want it? Like in that fairy tale about Cinderella? What is this about? Just thinking out loud. So, you think about me a lot then? I don't. She blushed immediately. Only as somebody can help me. Can, but doesn't want to. Wants to, but can't do much. So what's next, Nikolai? What next? You said you want to help, so what are you doing next? On the other hand, there were the calls and notes. In any case, you can't solve a problem just like that in one fell swoop. You speaking in generalities. Running away again? The bell's about to ring. Oh, right. I wondered if I were to, right now, win a ticket to the other end of the world in a lottery, would I be able to jump aboard and leave all my worries behind? I had enough money to buy a ticket and even survive in another country for a bit. I spoke Russian and Japanese, knew English well enough, and although my academic record wasn't that impressive, I considered myself a pretty smart guy. Yeah, I mean, speaking 3 different languages is pretty good. But the bell brought me back down to earth, reminding me that those born to crawl may never fly. I stepped into the classroom right after my teacher, but he pretended that's the way it was supposed to be. Catherine was sitting in behind her desk, absent-mindedly looking out the window. Why'd she take the seat behind me in the first place? Maybe I had recently gained problems more important than unrequited love, but we never sorted our relationship out. On one hand, I was berating myself for being so faint-hearted. A small earthly issue could not possibly eclipse the great feeling. On the other, somewhere deep inside, I was glad that all these spy games had at least somewhat lessened the intensity of my angst. Don't worry, you're doing things really well. You're being a jerk to everybody you've ever known. But you're getting with someone who likes playing rock music, isn't that the dream, right? Right? Don't do that in real life. It's not financially stable. No, I couldn't say she changed the point of becoming unrecognizable in such a short time, but her actions, words, gestures, I was constantly catching glimpses of something unknown and unfamiliar. It's probably because you haven't talked to her in a long time, about a year. An adult, an experienced one that had lost its shine and exchanged youthful enthusiasm for mature prudence. I was afraid to see Catherine like that because in contrast with her, I looked even more infantile and neurotic than before. The unknown scares us the most. Which is why you just need to sometimes take that risk. But if it's like trying to love a rock star, no, that only happens in games. Honestly, you'd be better off trying to go for Kagome and seeing where that ends up. After all, it's pretty easy for us to make bad choices in life and still turn out, I guess, alright. Although you'd probably get some jail time. I had to either deal with the real Catherine or stop this pathetic carnival of self-pity. We'd still have to sort out a relationship, even if that's where it would end. Doesn't seem like the inner monologue changes all too much. I was standing at the school gate, shifting my weight from one foot to the other. I'd run out of class with the last bell, so there's plenty of time. Students were passing by, paying no attention to me. Why is it that if you're rich, you're necessarily also handsome to boot? When it was the turn of simpler people, you'd be lucky to at least get away with good health. Well, I had, at least physically. Nikolai? There was Himitsu. I should have realized our classes were over here, too. You waiting for someone? Yeah, no, well... I see. I feel like I'm gonna have another choice coming up. My determination seems to have vanished at once. In front of Mitsu, I felt like some idiot telling his mother he wasn't going to university because his dream was to flip penguins at the South Pole. Or flip burgers at Burger King. Neither of them sound like good options. No worries, if I'm interrupting something then... You're not interrupting anything. Here you are. We need to talk. Yomura-senpai? Oh, seems like I interrupted something. Again. I won't keep him busy for long. A minute ago I was about to start sorting out my relationship with Catherine. 30 seconds ago I was trying to figure out how not to upset Himitsu while doing that. Now I was taken back by Kagome's assault. You know, not everything in the world revolves around you and your problems. And I was just afraid to hurt someone, trying to have my foot in two worlds at the same time. Maybe even 3 or 4. I had to make a choice. Obviously not everything in my life revolved around Himitsu, and all my thoughts were about Catherine. However, before moving forward, one has to understand what they'll have to leave behind. I didn't know what Kagome had come up with this time, and I wasn't in the mood to try and guess. Nevertheless, unshakable confidence in her and her own selfish righteousness were somewhat spellbinding. So, before we make this choice, I want to try something. I want to see what the hints do. Sorry. I timidly said to Mitsu, I'll wait for you home. Darn it! I wanted to make a choice. We'll try it again next time. Darn it. I want to see what it does. Is it going to, will I have like a mini face of whoever's talking in the corner? That'd be cool. I didn't force you. So, what do you want to talk about? Not here. Where then? I was impotently walking after Kagome, not a thought in head like a sheep following a shepherd's dog. After some time, we found ourselves in the park. That very park so many memories of mine were tied to. Catherine and I used to come here often. She always told me she enjoyed the silence and opportunity to be alone, despite being next to you, because apparently she didn't like you, or something. What's enough? She slowed her pace and turned around. Far enough from the school. I doubt there's a spy with a camera hiding behind every bush. Don't you just love your sarcasm? We stopped on a little curved bridge, built over a hot spring that met a lake. And we'll end off here, next to a little curved bridge built over a small spring that met a lake. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to like button. leave a comment, and subscribe. I don't plan on doing Catherine and Himitsu's routes. I'll definitely finish this one though. After that, we'll go back to my regularly scheduled programming of RPG horror games and indie games that I can find that are 2D. I will see you all in the next video. As always, goodbye.